It's time to reveal our top 3 strongest and easiest attack strategies at Town Hall 9, and even better, we're going to do a mini guide on each and show you how to use them. At number 3, we have Zap Dragons, and before we get into this replay, I'm going to go over a few things you need to look for to decide if the base is good for this army. It's incredibly strong at Town Hall 9 because dragons are awesome, and the first thing you need to look for is, are there 2 air defenses within earthquake range of each other? You'll see in this army that John's doing, he's only bringing 1 earthquake, but we are going to zap out 2 air defenses, and this base is perfect because you can earthquake and damage both of these air defenses if you want, and you could do the same for these 2. So now it's about picking which set of air defenses has the best zap value, and it's pretty obvious on this base. It is going to be these 2 because you can see the defensive queen here. She's going to run past both air defenses, so if we time our lightnings correctly, we'll take down not only both air defenses but the queen as well, which is insane value. Then all you have to plan from there is pick one of the other air defenses, either this one or this one, to take down with your heroes, and then the rest is pretty simple, but we'll get to that. Let's hit start on the replay here. So you see the queen stands right next to that air defense. Beautiful. We put the 3 lightning spells. By the way, you need 4 lightning spells to take down a queen, in case you didn't know. Now we're being patient whilst the queen walks around. We're going to use our own queen to get rid of that last air defense. There you go. Look at that value, but it's not just the value in terms of the 2 air defenses and the queen. We've also got a chunk out of the base down. So we put the queen on the bottom side. She's got rid of the air defense, and because we didn't need our king as well to take down the air defense, we're going to use him on the top side to funnel. And now we put all our drags down, but notice this. We are not putting any of our balloons or our CC down, and you'll see why in a second. Now, in terms of the dragons, we'll stop this for a second. Obviously, we're set a good funnel, but you don't want to send your dragons into the last air defense. Don't worry, we've got a plan for that. And in terms of where you send your dragons, you want to send them from the path of least resistance when it comes to these sweepers. If you can avoid them, that is best, because you have no freeze spells and you've only got really 1 rage spell for your dragons here, so you don't want to be fighting the sweeper if you can help it. That's why John has come from this angle here, not just for the queen and king to set a perfect funnel, but also for the dragons to spend the minimal time fighting the sweeper. Now, the dragons are doing beautiful work. We use the hound that comes out of our CC, then a few balloons and a haste, and the idea is the hound will not only tank for the dragons on the back end of the base, but tanks for these balloons. The haste spell propels them towards the air defense, and the dragons have fought no air defenses on this, and if the dragons don't have to fight an air defense, it's almost impossible to fail at Town Hall 9. Now, you'll notice there was no defensive CC in this attack. That is because there was a defensive CC hound. It's probably the most common type of defensive CC at Town Hall 9, and that is one of the biggest benefits of Zap Drags. But that right there is a perfect showcase of the army. But don't worry, we've got a second attack. We're going to show 2 attacks of every army today, so you can properly understand how to use this army on a variety of bases. Another good base for Zap Drags. We've got 2 sets of sweepers that we can hit with 1 quake spell. So I put the question out to you guys. Which one would you zap? I'll give you 1 second for that. Your answer should be this one here. And why is that? Because it's in the center of the base. And anytime you can lightning spell the center, it makes the pathing so much better. But why should I explain it? Let's watch it happen in action here. So we put the 3 lightning spells down. Get that. We put down the quake. Make sure we injure both of the air defenses. And then the last 3 lightnings on the bottom. Really nice funnel has been set here. Now, John's going to do this a little differently to the last one. Rather than sending the queen for the air defense, we're going to bring a few wall breakers and send the king for this air defense, because you can see both these air defenses are quite well protected in the base. So king's going in. That's another reason, by the way, you should zap the air defenses in the core of the base, because you want to leave the ones towards the outside to get with one of your heroes. So the king is going to get an air defense here. Then we're going to send the drags from the top side. Yet again, we don't want to send them into this final air defense, and we want to send them on the path of least resistance. Although, honestly, I think there was probably a better angle we could have sent so that the sweepers didn't make this these dragons struggle a bit, but that's alright. We've got the loons, we've got the hound tanking, and this base is in a whole lot of trouble. Now, he used the queen on the bottom side. I think that was to funnel the dragons in, and potentially get the defensive queen down, because the defensive queen is huge, but he does mess up a little here and doesn't take down that defensive queen. Now, in terms of the hero equipment, all the hero equipment today is going to be this combination you see here. However, there are a few strategies where you can bring, say, the earthquake boots that I'll talk about later. But for now, this is the best hero equipment combination. Look at this Hound. It is still up. It's tanking for the queen beautifully. It's not a clean attack here, but I wanted to show you an attack that wasn't clean, because dragon attacks, they don't go smoothly every single time, but that's what makes this army so strong. Look at how many hit points a lot of these dragons have. They are still near full health, except for 2 of them. That's because this army has too many hit points. If you can remove the air defenses, the base doesn't really stand a chance. Now, if you can't earthquake 2 air defenses, this army is still possible, but you're going to have to drop either the Rage or the Haste and bring some different spells for the extra Earthquake. So maybe look for a different army if you can't Earthquake 2. But if you can, this army reigns supreme. At number 2, we have Mass Witches. This army is so strong at Town Hall 9, and it is very user-friendly. The easiest army of the 3 we're going to have on the channel today. Now, the first thing you need to think of with this army is, how can I get across the base with only 2 jumps? We're not bringing any wall breakers with this army. We're keeping it as simple as possible. So you need to make sure wherever you come from that you can get across the base with just 2 jump spells. So to reveal what John's going to do here, he is going to come from the top side, and then we're going to put down, let me change the color. We're going to put down a jump spell here, and most of his troops go into the town hall compartment. So his second jump spell, which he delays a bit, he puts there. And notice how we can reach the whole base with these 2 jumps. In particular, you need to think about the expos and the wizard towers with this army. They are the biggest problem for witches. So with this, we can reach both expos with our queen, and then a lot of the wizard towers as well. A few other things worth thinking about before we start this. You never want to come in with your main push on a corner. As in, if you send your heroes through the corner, it is a whole lot more difficult to funnel. Generally, with these sort of ground spam attacks, you want to come in on a side, so you'll have a golem and a few witches on up here, golem and a few witches here, and then your main push through the middle. It's just so much more simple if you come in on a side rather than in on a corner. I hope that makes sense to all of you. So let's watch this in action. By the way, I need to say this as well. If you have access to bowlers in your clan, then bring bowlers in the CC, drop a couple of witches, and bring a second golem of your own, because bowlers are really strong. But if you don't have access to bowlers in the clan, we're treating this like a Town Hall 9 only attack, then bring a golem and bring this exact army comp here. So we've got the CC golem up the top with 5 witches behind. So golem and 5 witches on each flank. Then you'll have the giants, and then the rest of the witches with the king and queen in the middle. And then the jump spell will go down any second now. Come on, John. Put the jump spell down. There it goes. Really nice area of the base to go into as well, because the defensive heroes are right there. Now, you see he used the freeze there. Probably a little unnecessary. Generally, with this army, you want to use the freeze spell on wizard towers or expos that lock onto your witches, particularly on the flank. Thankfully, the queen goes back inside the base here. The king does not oblige, though. The king's, yeah, he's going to be on the outside of the base for a while. This army also has a heal spell. So obviously you use the rage spells when your core push needs more DPS, but the heal spells you just use where there's a lot of splash damage on your witches. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe he uses the heal spell down the bottom of the base here. Yeah, he uses it a second late. Unfortunately, lose a few witches to the giant bomb and the wizard tower. But I really wanted to show you this because it's not just, oh, you should use the heal spell in the core of the base. There was no point in that in this attack. The place where the heal spell was needed most was on the bottom. Just unfortunate that it was a second late. And this well, I guess it's more of an anti-2 than most Town Hall 9 bases, but this Town Hall 9 base here got pretty comprehensively beaten. Now, it's worth saying, with this army, if you've got the Earthquake boots on your king, you could definitely look at bringing that, say, over the Barbarian Puppet. That would be a very good choice. But you can see John here is bringing the default equipment on the king and also on the queen. Keep in mind, this equipment isn't even max, and he's running over these Town Hall 9 bases. Looks like there's a few corner builder huts, but that's not going to stop this army. This army is normally really good on time. Witches slaughter Town Hall 9. This here is more of a typical Town Hall 9 base, so let's see how it goes down. Golem and 5 witches on one flank, Golem and 5 witches on the other. But notice how patient he is with putting these core witches down. He's not putting them down straight away. You've got to give time for your flanks to set a perfect funnel. Still waiting, and just puts down the heroes now. Have a look at this wizard tower though. This wizard tower is a bit of a problem, so we save one of our giants, and that's why they're in this army. Yes, they can tank for the heroes at the start in the middle, but you can also use them on the outside of the base with your witches to tank the wizard towers, and it did a beautiful job there, not only tanking the wizard tower, but also the cannon. Poison spell helping stop that defensive queen and slow down the hound, and we use our heal in the core of the base here. I'm not sure I really agree with how that heal spell was used, but yet again, these don't have to be perfect attacks. You don't need to make, 100 correct decisions out of 100 to triple with this. You can afford to make mistakes. Just make sure you're coming in from the right angle and you start the attack perfectly. This Expo on the bottom is being a bit of a problem. Remember, we said Expos are one of the danger defenses. I mean, it is the main defense of Town Hall 9 in this army, and it is a bit of a pain here, but thankfully the witches, they have such good range. That's another reason they are such a good troop. They have really good range, can reach 2 tiles off over the wall, and they take down the Expo there. King having to beat through the wall yet again. If you did have the earthquake boots and it opened up a bunch of walls, that would make this army even stronger in my opinion, but he's able to get through one wall with his ability, and this here is a GG. Gonna swag that freeze spell, never ended up needing it. Really nice attack, and yeah, this attack strategy is so strong at Town Hall 9. I can't recommend using it enough. That corner builder hut will never stop a 3-star with witches. At number 1, we have Zap Lalo. Now, this is the most difficult attack strategy of today's video, but Lalo is one of the strongest attack strategies in the game, and I urge you to learn it whilst you're at Town Hall 9. It gets so much harder at every Town Hall or above, so if you put in the work at Town Hall 9 to learn how to Lalo, you will reap the benefits throughout your entire Clash of Clans career. Now, what do you want when it comes to a base with Zap Lalo? Well, preferably a queen in the core of the base, so we're going to zap the defensive queen in this attack here, and generally she will be the most zapped target of yours, because the defensive queen is really a problem when it comes to Lalo attacks. Now, the reason you want her to be centralized, she's more likely to be around a lot of value. You see in this one, we're bringing 6 zaps and 1 quake, because we're going to get rid of this Expo as well. Now, you only need 4 lightnings to take down the queen, but if you want to get this Expo as well, need a few more. Now, another good thing for this army is if you've got a CC that is possible to lure out with a balloon. That's critical with a balloon, because what you're going to do, we'll start this attack and talk through it as it happens. So waits for the queen to stand next to the Expo, takes her down, puts the last couple of lightning spells down, and there we go. So we've taken out the queen. Now, we're putting these few balloons here, and we want them to get into CC range, and this is why. If it is a damage CC, so baby drag or witches, then they will come out now, and it's much easier to deal with them on the outside of the base. For instance, you could pull them all the way up here. There's no DPS nearby. However, if it's a hound or a golem, it won't come out, and therefore you won't want to suey anywhere near the CC. You don't want to deal with the hound. Much better sueying on the other side of the base. So that's exactly what John's doing here. So unfortunately with this army, it's not as easy to plan as the others. You do need to do a little bit of thinking in terms of what are you going to do if the CC is a damage CC, and what are you going to do if it's a hound slash golem or ice golem CC. Kind of a stall CC is the best way to put it. So we're going to put our king, and essentially now with the heroes, we're suing on the opposite side of the base to the CC, and we're trying to get as much value as possible. The king's going to go in here, get rid of an air defense, and the queen is going to deal with a Tesla farm. It doesn't seem like a lot of value, but remember, Town Hall 9 heroes aren't everything. And you've already gotten rid of the defensive queen, and now you Lalo around the base. When it comes to Lalo at Town Hall 9, you want to make sure you target as many different defenses with your loons as possible. So does that mean? Have a look. He's got 3 loons for this arch tower. We got another couple of loons for this arch tower, this wizard tower, this arch tower, and I bet he's going to put loons to target all of these outlying defenses. You want to spread all your loons out. Don't put more than 4 of them onto one target. Spread them around so you can truly overwhelm the base. And it looks slow and sloppy at the start, but you'll see towards the end of the base, there are so many loons left up, and there really isn't a lot of base left. Now, the remaining spells you bring with this army is completely up to you. Because he brought 6 Zap and 1 Quake, which is a lot. Normally, you're bringing 4 Zap to get rid of the Queen. Because he brought so many, we don't have a heal spell, but you'll see in the next attack strategy, a heal spell is brought. But yeah, it doesn't bring a freeze either. Only haste spells, and look at how well it works. This base is completely overkilled, not even close. We don't pull that defensive CC out at all, which is perfect, and the loons have completely wrecked it. Now, the first couple of times you use this attack strategy, I don't expect the Lalo to go this well. It is a very hard attack strategy, and it's all about timing of when you put your balloons down and directing them. But the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. I promise you that. A rather unusual Town Hall 9 base here, but the principle is still the same. We are zapping out this queen, but because there's no expo nearby, we only have to bring 4 zaps, which means you can bring the heal spell as well. I'd say this army comp here is the more default version. In the last attack, we saw a few wall breakers and 6 lightning. This here is the more typical comp. So we're going to use the zap spells to get the queen here. Now, he does try and be really smart here, John, and take down both sweepers, but I don't think he knows at Town Hall 9, 2 zaps and 1 quake does not take down a sweeper. So it wasn't very efficient here. He should have put 3 zaps on the left and 1 on the right, but it's okay. We all make mistakes, and now at least you'll know it if you're using this attack strategy. I'm sure that's probably why he stalled for a second here. Now, normally with this, you do want to pull out the CC, and at some point he is going to send a few balloons at 6 o'clock to pull out the CC, but he is a little slow on it this attack, but that's alright. So Sui's coming in on the top side. By the way, when I say Sui, it's essentially sacrificing your heroes, because your heroes, the most important part of your army. But in this attack strategy, we're not investing a lot into our heroes. We're essentially sending them to die. Their job is to get whatever value they can to make our Lalo easier, and we'll invest more in our Lalo instead. Pop the Queen ability. Loons, yet again, do not pull out a damage CC, so that's fine. And now we're going to Lalo. And I can't believe it looks so odd because I'm used to higher town halls, but the heroes really didn't get much, but they don't have to get much with this. So don't panic if your heroes feel as if they get 0 value. The Lalo is so strong at Town Hall 9. Now, unfortunately, he should have spread out these loons, so some targeted the air defense and some target the wizard tower as well, but that's alright. We've got a haste spell. Now we're getting our loons on the right-hand side. Notice how heavy he's deploying them. And I said never more than 4 on one target, but this here is a great exception because there is a wizard tower there that's doing splash damage to all of them. And there's also an expo right on the outside of the base. So we need a lot of balloons there to take down the expo. So make sure you're thinking about that when you do your attack. What defenses are not necessarily just the ones you're targeting, but the ones that are nearby as well. What defenses are that group of loons going to take down? Now you've got the heal spell and you use it to completely negate a wizard tower. Perfectly used here. Much better than we saw in the mass witches attack. Loons are going across the base. Still got 1 lava hound up. Now in terms of your lava hounds, he does bring 2 in his army and 1 in the CC. In terms of deploying it, I'd use a regular hound as your first hound and then use your CC hound as your second one. That way, if there's a lot of seeking air mines, say you run into 4 of them, they only take down one of your low level hounds rather than your high level, and then the higher level hound from your CC comes in as your second hound, and then your third hound is one of your normal hounds again. But that is Zap Lalo. I've got one more half replay I want to show for a scenario where you shouldn't zap the defensive queen. Final attack of the video, and have a look at this. So we're Zap Laloing, but look, the queen's on the outside of the base. So we're not going to zap her here. It's a waste of spells. You really like the queen when she's in the core of the base because you're gutting out the core and making the pathing so much easier for your loons to do a lap of the base. So let's watch what John does here. I'll mostly 2 times through this. Look at that. goes for an air defense and a wizard tower only. Nothing more than that. Now we're going to use our queen up the top, but have a look. We're waiting for this defensive queen to step over the wall at the bottom. Any second now, and perfect. We're going to deal with the defensive queen with our king. The good thing about this is because there was a defensive CC there, we didn't bother bringing our queen, because if it was a lava hound, our queen's going to beat on it and get no value. However, if this queen was slightly further inside the base and we would have, and our king couldn't reach her over the wall, obviously, then I expect John would have put his king and queen at the bottom here. But yeah, really smart. Queen's on the top side. Pop her ability now. She doesn't have to get insane value, but I believe she gets rid of this air defense here. And yeah, this base has no chance now because we didn't zap the queen, but we got defensive value with our zap, and then we suied. And yeah, the queen got awesome value on the top side. Yet again, trying to target as many different defenses as possible and overwhelm the base. And one thing John's really good at, except in this attack, I believe, is hanging on to at least 3 balloons at the end of the attack. If there's a corner Tesla, like we saw in the last replay, you're going to want to hang on to 1 or 2 balloons so that you can take it down nice and easily. So yeah, make sure you don't get all your loons down at once. Slowly but surely wins the race. And I think he would have swagged that heal spell there if 20 balloons weren't 1 HP. But look at how many are left up. And yet again, there is the hero equipment for you all. You'll see the army comp right here as it comes up. But that right there is our top 3 attack strategies for Town Hall 9. Do you agree? Let us know down in the comments below.